Hello there to anyone who is watching this right now. I'm recording this late at night because I just can't seem to sleep during summer. Anyways, um, so I guess I've just been watching more YouTube videos, of course, because I'm somewhat of a YouTube junkie at the moment. Um, and I got some inspiration from some new, uh, people who are Wiccan and Neo-Pagan in the community, and they decided to post videos about themselves, and I realized that I really haven't shared a lot about myself. So anyway, before I go on for a minute about what I'm doing, I'm just going to share some stuff about me even further that gives you sort of an idea of how I see myself at the moment and how I came to where I am and how I see myself. So let's start at the beginning. Um, when I was a kid, my parents loosely raised me Christian. I was introduced to Bible stories through like prayer at night, those sorts of things. But my family never went to church together. My parents had been raised Christian. My mother was Catholic as a child. My dad was, I think, some type of Protestant. Um, and they didn't like being forced to go into church as children, so they didn't do that to my siblings or I. So, with that in mind, I had friends who were Christian. I'd been to church through like Sunday schools or summer schools. Didn't have great experiences. Make a long story short, most of my life I've been pretty agnostic. I've considered myself agnostic, meaning that I believe there might be a divine power, but I wasn't really sure. But I wasn't willing to say, no, I don't think it's possible at all. I think to me that would be ignorant because we can't prove or disprove a higher power. Oh my gosh, my camera just went blue. Sorry. Um, this is a new webcam, sorry. Well, not new, but I'm using it instead of my other one. Anyways, sorry about that. So, anyways, um, yeah, where was I? Sorry, I get distracted so easily. So I've been agnostic for most of my life. I've dabbled in different religious practices, tried Christianity for various reasons. Mostly I didn't feel good about where I was headed at that time in my life, and I was trying to save myself and, you know, be a good person, and I thought Christianity was the way for me to do that. I ended up feeling more guilty over who I was through Christianity, mostly in the idea of I have enjoyed, um, I'm very uncomfortable saying this, oh my gosh, I've been sexually active since I was a teenager, and I enjoy it, and I didn't like that I felt bad about it. Um, it's part of who I am. It's part of how I express myself to someone I love, and I enjoy it. And Christianity did not make me feel good about that. And so that and a whole other mess of reasons. I'm a feminist, and I didn't like the patriarchal nature of Christianity. So I quit practicing Christianity. Also, what made me quit completely was I was studying philosophy at my community college at the time, and it really made me question why I believed in it in the first place. So, it wasn't for me. I studied various religions in college, been influenced by them, and I realized a lot about myself through taking philosophy classes, religion classes. Anyways, going way off topic. I have notes because I knew I was going to go off topic. I'm sorry. Um, so Christianity was a big thing in my life, um, but not to the point where that was the only thing. I've also been influenced by Taoism since I was a kid. Now, right now, I'm still in the room that I've been in since I was like 6. So, what's interesting is Taoism. I didn't realize it was Tao, or Taoist in nature, but the yin yang symbol was important to me And when I was 11, I actually painted, you can't really see it, but it's on my windowsill, right, those little images. One of them is the yin yang symbol. Sorry, stupid camera. Whatever, I'll be blue. Okay, whatever. Dang it, come on. Fix yourself. Hello. There you go. Okay. So the yin yang symbol, I liked it because of the balancing of light and dark forces, um, the balance of nature, balance of life. At that time, I was also thinking about reincarnation, and a lot of other stuff. The other thing that was really influential to me growing up, and has been my whole life, is zodiac signs. And I've always been interested in that. Not always, not like since inception, but since I was at least 11, I studied them heavily. And that was because of my mother and her mother. Her mother was very much into astrology and zodiac signs, and I remember asking her questions when I was a child about, is a Leo good with a Virgo? And she'd be like, yes. And later on, I found out that maybe, not so much, whatever. Um, so I have studied zodiac signs extensively. Sun signs was the first one for years and years and years until I realized that there are moon signs and ascendant signs and a whole bunch of stuff. Um, so that's been a huge influence. I know that not a lot of people on YouTube that I've seen talk about zodiac signs, so I know it's not like a huge thing. Um, but I've always been interested in it, and it's interesting to me because it kind of the one thing I used to do a lot. Well, it was interesting because I like learning about people, and zodiac signs actually help me remember when people were born. So I would ask my friend, when were you born?" And they'd say like April 18th or something like that, and I'd be like, "Oh, they're this sign." And through the years, I just got better and better at knowing what sign was born when and all that stuff. And the cutoff ones are still confusing to me a little bit, but typically I know what zodiac sign someone is by their birthday. I've just always done that. So, but the interesting thing is, like, I didn't know that that was under the catch-all term of New Age. I had no idea until I started studying any of this stuff um, in depth. I had no idea that was considered New Age. So I was influenced by my mom, my grandmother, her mom, and my aunt. And my aunt and my grandmother actually lived in Idaho. Again, I live in California. When I would go visit, which was very rare, it was interesting because my aunt was sort of a hippie, and I always kind of just saw her that way, as just a hippie. I didn't think anything else of it. And she lived near a forest, like the edge of a forest. And when I would visit, I also noticed she had a lot of like statues and figurines around her house, like wolves everywhere, and I thought it was beautiful. I loved that. I've always been close to nature and animals, so I loved being there. And she also had this giant tattoo of a fairy sitting in a crescent moon on her back. And this woman was only like 4'11", so this tattoo was like, you know, it took up like her entire back, and it was just so funny for me. And she loved fairies. Um, and at the time, I didn't realize what this meant, but I knew she had like a bonfire outside, and she had like stones, like big boulders, like around in a circle around this bonfire. So that was interesting, being influenced by those people. And then later on, again, back to philosophy classes and religions. I studied a lot of major world religions. And later, I was also influenced by new friends that I made because of my habit of remembering people's zodiac signs. So, been agnostic, studied various religions. I really liked Buddhism, went to a Buddhist temple. They weren't, the service wasn't in English, so I felt kind of out of place. Although I liked studying the religion, I didn't feel like I fit there. So that's what kind of kept me from going more into Buddhism. So then I've always been into, I guess, new agey stuff is what you would call it. The other thing is that my grandmother, my mom's mom, actually studied runes, and I didn't realize what it was. I just knew that my mom told me as a kid when she taught me how to read them, that I wasn't supposed to tell anyone what I was doing. And I was like 11 when she taught me how to read runes, because she told me not to say anything because people would think it was witchcraft. And at the time, of course, hearing that, I think it's a negative connotation. I had never really heard of people practicing witchcraft, anything like that, for real. And I wasn't ever really curious about witchcraft or anything like that. So, needless to say, witchcraft was a dirty word to my mother. So, I didn't go around telling people, hey, I read runes. What do you think of that? Because she told me not to. But I wanted to show you all some things because I've talked forever. So I thought I'd show you the first book I ever read that was witchy, whatever, is this one. It's the Book of Runes by Ralph Blum, or Blum, whatever. And it's very, very old, and you can tell by the faded and worn pages. This is actually it was my mom's, and she gave it to my mom, and my mom lets me borrow it whenever. And some of the pages are actually falling out. It's so old. And it's like loose and falling out and crinkly and yeah. But it's awesome that I have this. And I know they have like a 25th anniversary edition and I want to get it. But this was the first witchy book that I've ever had. The other thing is that I don't know why or when my mom, I don't know when she got these for me, and I showed this in a previous video, is this oracle deck. And it's actually rune oracles. And this is the only tarot deck I have. I'm not really that big into tarot, but this deck is cool because it has photos and images that go with the rune symbols. So you can kind of get an idea of what you're supposed to be thinking about. And I like it because it's like trees. I've always loved trees. And this one's too. But, the only thing that I don't like about this deck, and I'll explain it later on, is that, the wording is different than that most people use. This one says Feo or whatever. And I think it just has to do with where it was made or whatever. Anyways, so I've had this for, oh my gosh, I must have been 12 at least, because this thing is like beat up. And it used to just be sitting on my windowsill that's behind me. My windowsill. I have like seashells and stuff up there, just hanging out on the sill. And this was one of the things that used to just be up there. So it's nice, and I didn't really use it a lot. Again, mostly because my mom kind of freaked me out about the whole, people will think this is witchcraft. Don't want to show my friends. But when I would read it, I would read it on this. I have a thing for bandanas. I like bandanas. This was a bandana that I got at my grandfather's like wake or funeral or whatever. We were having a party and it was like a hoedown style because he's from the south. And this is just something that I wore there, and so I would read my rune cards on this because it's special to me, and I think that I've always had that sense of like, and it's probably my mom taught me, is that certain things that you've had around you at certain moments have really strong presence to it and actually have a special energy to it. If something means a lot to you, like an object, like let's say someone gave you something, like your grandmother, and people have that natural, like, oh, like this was my grandmother's, and this necklace actually was my grandmother's. The bell, this I added, the triquetra. But, you know, you're like, oh, that's my grandmother's, it means a lot to you. It actually has special power, to me anyway. And the other thing that I have, it's a witchy book. It's not really witchy at all. According to everybody, it's new agey. This is like my pride and joy. I love this book so much. I've read it extensively. It's Celtic Moon Signs. Whether or not Celtic moon signs are a big thing, I have not studied extensively, but I swear this book is really it's more accurate sometimes for me than regular zodiac signs like sun signs. And this is where I was first introduced to the idea of moon signs. And it says how the mystical power of the Druid zodiac can transform your life. My friend, I had shown my friend this, and he actually said that it's out of print. So I'm pretty lucky that I have this. So I'm gonna try and keep it in good condition. I've had it for a number of years, and because my mom, she bought that for me. Lots of blue stuff in this video. But yeah, so those are some witchy books that I have, and I just wanted to share and show, because those are things that have influenced me growing up. The other thing that influences me is this idea of being psychic or having vibes, and dreams also have influenced me. I've had plenty of dreams that actually came true, like literal premonitions, and then I've had symbolic ones that ended up coming true, such as I had a dream that that my family was going to be expecting a young girl in our family, and it ended up turning out to be my sister. Ended up pregnant and had my niece. And so, you know, I've just had various dreams. I think some of the freakiest dreams are when um, I know someone has passed because they visited me in a dream. Those have been some scary ones, but nonetheless, I've had premonitions and knowings from dreams. I also get vibes, and I sense people. I guess you would say I sense their aura. Um, Such as if someone's like just a malicious person, I will feel it physically, and I'll just be like, whoa! It'll just be this overwhelming, like, boom! Like, that is just some bad stuff going on there. And I'm just like, whoa, I don't know who they are. They don't even have to open their mouth, and I'll just know, and I'll just be like, okay, I am not talking to this person, I'm walking the other way. I have that instinct, and my mom told me to always trust my instincts, and that's one of them. So, I don't know what you'd call that. Haven't really studied it extensively. Um, Again, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that I've been agnostic for a lot, and I'm kind of skeptical, and I really research things before I decide that I believe in them. And the things that I've shared are just fun things that I've done, like zodiac signs. It's always been fun, and things that I can't deny that are true to me, such as having premonitions and bad vibes, and finding out that those people do end up being pretty bad people. Um, doesn't work all the time, but when it does, I'm dead on. So yeah, those are just some things about me, and I've talked for like 20 minutes almost, so I'm gonna end it here. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all enjoy this video, and talk to you soon, hopefully. Bye-bye.